of the sea. And a whole nation gathered to watch a duel of gods. On one side, 450 prophets of Baal. On the other, one man. The prophets had cried out since morning. They leaped, they wailed, they cut themselves. The sky said nothing. Then the one man stepped forward and rebuilt a broken altar, 12 stones, one for every tribe of a broken people. And he gave a command no sane man would give: water, poured over the sacrifice, poured over the wood, again and again, until the trench around the altar stood full like a moat. Then he prayed, not long, the way a man speaks to a God he knows, and fire fell out of an empty sky. It devoured the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the dust. It licked the water out of the trench, and a nation fell on its faces on the mountainside. Before this day is over, you will see how it ends. But first, you will see a cloud of glory fill a golden temple until the priests cannot stand. You will see a new robe torn into 12 pieces in an empty field. And you will see a king die standing up in his chariot, propped like a banner, facing a battle he was told he would never survive. How a kingdom still golden from David's victories came to trial by fire on a mountaintop. That story starts 60 years earlier, in the coldest room of the palace, at the deathbed of David himself. This is 1 Kings. The highest Israel ever rose, and the first crack of the fall. One temple, 2 thrones, and the fire that answered. King David was old and stricken in years. They covered him with clothes, but he gat no heat. The hands that had killed a giant could no longer hold a sword. And while the king lay dying, the kingdom began to move. His son Adonijah exalted himself, saying, I will be king. He prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. His father had never once displeased him with a question. Now the whole city would pay for that silence. He won Joab, the commander of the army. He won Abiathar, the priest. And by a stone near the spring he held a feast, and crowned himself over roasted oxen and wine. But he did not invite the prophet Nathan, nor Solomon, his brother. The old guard of the old king was not welcome at the new king's table. Nathan went to Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, the same prophet who had once said to David, Thou art the man. The same woman that sin had cost so much. Together, one last time, they went to the king. Bathsheba bowed before the bed. My lord, thou swearest that Solomon my son shall reign after me, and behold, Adonijah reigneth, and thou knowest it not. And something of the old fire returned. The dying man rose on his pillows and gave his last commands like a general. Take my own mule. Take Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet. Bring Solomon down to Gihon and anoint him king over Israel this day. So Zadok took an horn of oil out of the tabernacle and anointed Solomon, and they blew the trumpet. And all the people said, God save King Solomon. The earth rent with the sound of them. And the noise rolled up the valley to a feast by a stone near another spring. Adonijah's guests heard it. Then came the messenger. David has made Solomon king. And every man at that table rose and quietly went his way. By nightfall, the man who would be king was clinging to the horns of the altar, begging his brother for his life. Solomon spared him on one condition: shew thyself worthy. Then David's time came, and he charged Solomon his son with his last strength.
I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and shew thyself a man. Keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest. That the Lord may continue his word, there shall not fail thee a man on the throne of Israel.
So David slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David. 40 years he had reigned, the shepherd boy, the giant killer, the man after God's own heart. Gone. And Solomon sat upon the throne of David his father. He was perhaps 20 years old. The kingdom in his hands stretched from the river of Egypt to the Euphrates. But a throne is never given, it is held. Adonijah broke his condition. He reached for the crown once more, through a request that every palace in the east understood. And Solomon read the move like his father would have. That day, Adonijah died. Joab, the old general with blood on his belt, fled to the altar and gripped its horns, and died beside it. Shimei, who had cursed David in the dust, was given a city and a boundary. Cross the brook, and you die. 3 years he kept it. Then he crossed. And the sword closed the last account of David's house. The throne was his. The price was written in 3 fresh graves. Solomon had learned his first lesson as king. A crown is kept the same way it is taken. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. But he was young, and the weight of 1,000,000 lives pressed down on a judgment seat he had never sat in. So the king went to Gibeon, to the great high place, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. And in Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, "Ask what I shall give thee, any door, every door, long life, riches, the necks of his enemies." The young king stood before the one offer no man had ever been given, and asked for none of it.
I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, a great people that cannot be numbered. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart, to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
And the speech pleased the Lord. Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked long life, nor riches, nor the life of thine enemies. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. The proof came quickly. It walked into his court on 2 pairs of bare feet, carrying 1 living child, 2 women, 1 house, 2 newborn sons, and one of them had died in the night. Now each mother claimed the living boy was hers. No witnesses, no proof, word against word. The court waited for the young king to drown. Instead, Solomon said, "Bring me a sword."
Divide the living child in 2, and give half to the one, and half to the other.
And the true mother broke. She cried, "O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it." But the other said, "Let it be neither mine nor thine. Divide it."
Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof.
And all Israel heard of the judgment, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him. All Israel saw that the wisdom of God was in him. That gift would build a golden age. What the gift could not do was guard the heart it lived in. And there was peace. Real peace, the kind Israel had never known. Judah and Israel were many, as the sand which is by the sea in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. Every man dwelt safely under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. No armies on the roads, no smoke on the horizon. David had won the wars, his son would spend the winnings. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. He spake 3,000 proverbs, his songs were 1,005. He spake of trees, from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop in the wall, of beasts and of fowl, and of creeping things and of fishes. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all kings of the earth. Caravans crossed deserts to ask one man their questions, but one work would outshine them all. His father had dreamed it. His father had been denied it. Now the son would build the Lord a house. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent cedars out of Lebanon, floated in rafts down the sea. 80,000 hewers cut stone in the mountains. And in the 480th year after Israel came out of Egypt, the foundation was laid on a hilltop above the city, the same hill where a threshing floor once stood, where an angel's hand had stopped, and David had said, I will not offer unto the Lord that which costs me nothing. And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither. There was neither hammer, nor axe, nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building, a house for God rising in silence. 7 years it grew, cedar within, carved with cherubims and palm trees and open flowers. And then the carvings vanished under gold. 10 candlesticks of pure gold, an altar of cedar overlaid with gold. And before the house, a molten sea of brass, standing upon 12 oxen, holding water for the priests. Nothing in it was ordinary. Nothing in it was spared. The oracle within, the most holy place, he overlaid with pure gold. And he made 2 cherubims of olive tree, 10 cubits high, wings stretched from wall to wall. A room no light entered, waiting for a glory that needed none. 13 more years he built his own house, and the house of the forest of Lebanon, and a hall for the throne. But the book lingers on none of them. The story was never about the palace. 7 years of stone and cedar and gold. A house for God built by human hands. And one question no one on that mountain could answer. Would he come? Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel, and all the heads of the tribes, unto Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord, out of the city of David. The ark, the box of acacia and gold that had crossed Jordan on dry ground, circled Jericho, and dwelt in a tent through every war and wandering. Nothing was in it save the 2 tables of stone which Moses put there at Horeb. And King Solomon and all the congregation sacrificed sheep and oxen that could not be told nor numbered for multitude. The priests bore the ark up the mount, and set it under the wings of the cherubims, in the darkness of the most holy place. The priests came out of the holy place. And it happened, the cloud filled the house of the Lord, and the priests could not stand to minister because of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord filled the house of the Lord. The priests could not stand to minister. Heaven had moved in. Then spake Solomon, the Lord said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. I have surely built thee an house to dwell in, a settled place for thee to abide in forever. And the king kneeled down upon his knees before all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands toward heaven.
But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have builded? Yet have thou respect unto the prayer of thy servant, that thine eyes may be open toward this house night and day. And hearken thou to the supplication of thy people Israel, when they shall pray toward this place, when they sin against thee. For there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry. Yet if they return unto thee with all their heart, then hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and when thou hearest, forgive. Moreover, concerning a stranger that is not of thy people Israel, when he shall come and pray toward this house, hear thou in heaven, that all people of the earth may know thy name.
When thou hearest, forgive. The king had seen his own father live on that one word. Now he built a nation's future on it. And Solomon rose and blessed all the congregation with a loud voice. Blessed be the Lord that hath given rest unto his people Israel. There hath not failed one word of all his good promise. And the king offered a sacrifice of peace offerings beyond counting. 14 days the feast ran on. And the people went unto their tents joyful and glad of heart, for all the goodness that the Lord had done for David his servant. It was the summit of 1,000 years. From a slave people in Egypt to this, a temple filled with glory, a throne at peace, a king on his knees. Israel would never stand higher. On the greatest night of his life, Solomon received everything he asked for. Years later, heaven would visit him again, with a warning that read like a map of everything to come. For the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time, as he had appeared unto him at Gibeon. I have hallowed this house. Mine eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually. But the voice did not stop at the promise. If ye shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed will I cast out of my sight. And Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. The warning was precise. It named everything that was coming. But the morning came, and the gold kept rising. And the fame of Solomon crossed the deserts, until it reached a throne in the south. The Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, and she came to prove him with hard questions. With camels that bear spices, and very much gold, and precious stones. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king. And when she had seen the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the attendance of his ministers, there was no more spirit in her.
It was a true report that I heard in mine own land, howbeit I believed not the words, until I came, and mine eyes had seen it, and behold, the half was not told me. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel.
Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents. He made 300 shields of beaten gold, a great throne of ivory overlaid with the best gold, 6 steps, and 12 lions upon them. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tharshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. Silver lay in Jerusalem like stones in the street. The king who had asked for nothing but wisdom now owned everything a man could own, everything, except the one thing his own Proverbs called the wellspring of life. A guarded heart. The law of Moses had left every future king exactly 3 warnings. He shall not multiply horses to himself. He shall not multiply wives, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Horses, wives, gold. Solomon multiplied all 3. But King Solomon loved many strange women, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord had said, Ye shall not go into them, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. He had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, each marriage a treaty, each treaty a shrine, each shrine a door left open. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. The wisest man on earth went after Ashtoreth, goddess of the Zidonians. And he built an high place for Chemosh and for Molech on the hill that is before Jerusalem, face to face with the temple. From the courts of the Lord's house you could see the smoke of the other gods. The man who had prayed when thou hearest, forgive, no longer prayed toward the house he built. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. The dream at Gibeon, the warning after the glory. He had heard the voice itself, and walked away. And the Lord said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as thou hast not kept my covenant, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it, for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Yet will I give 1 tribe to thy son, that David my servant may have a light alway before me in Jerusalem, 1 tribe, 1 lamp. The covenant made in David's night, thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever, would hold the door, even while the house split and the tearing began quietly. A servant. Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, a mighty man of valor, whom Solomon had set over the labors of the house of Joseph. One day, outside Jerusalem, the prophet Ahijah found him on the road, wearing a new garment. And the 2 were alone in the field, and Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces. Take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee, because they have forsaken me. The word reached the palace. And Solomon sought, therefore, to kill Jeroboam, the old king, hunting the future with a sword, the way Saul had once hunted his father. Jeroboam fled into Egypt, and waited. And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David, his father. The wisest of kings, the builder of the temple, the man who heard God twice and finished his days burning incense on the wrong hill. Solomon slept with his fathers. After 40 years of gold, the kingdom passed whole to his son. It would stay whole for exactly 3 days, and Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. The northern tribes had gathered under the open sky, and they had brought a condition. And Jeroboam was there, back from Egypt, standing in the front rank with 10 torn pieces of a prophecy in his memory. Watching, thy father made our yoke grievous, they said. His buildings were glorious, and we carried the stone. Make thou his heavy yoke lighter, and we will serve thee. Rehoboam answered, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again. 3 days to choose the future of a kingdom. He consulted the old men that stood before Solomon his father. Their counsel was one sentence: If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, then they will be thy servants forever. Serve them 1 day, and they are yours forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, and consulted the young men that were grown up with him. The young men knew exactly what a king should sound like. Tell them, they said, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And the 3rd day came, and all Israel stood waiting. And the king answered the people roughly,
My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, I will chastise you with scorpions.
1 sentence. 10 tribes. The kingdom of David was gone. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah unto Jeroboam. Heaven had said torn, pride merely held the fabric. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered, What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel, now see to thine own house, David. Rehoboam sent out Adoram, master of the tribute, to bring them back to order. All Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. And the king fled to his chariot, and did not stop until Jerusalem. In Jerusalem he mustered 180,000 chosen men, to bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam. But the word of God came to Shemaiah, Ye shall not fight against your brethren. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. And they obeyed. The army turned around, and the kingdom of David stood cut in two, Judah in the south, Israel in the north. It would never be whole again. In the north, Jeroboam built Shechem and reigned. The torn pieces were his, exactly as the prophet had said. But at night, the new king did arithmetic, and the arithmetic frightened him. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, he reasoned, then shall their heart turn again unto Rehoboam. 3 festivals a year, every man to the temple, every road south, a road out of his kingdom. Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto the people, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. The oldest lie in Israel's story, the calf at Sinai, rebuilt in gold, twice, by royal decree. He set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin. He made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi. He invented a feast of his own devising, a complete copy of worship, with everything in it except God. Jeroboam feared one thing, that his people would drift back to the temple in Jerusalem. So he built gods to keep them home. The insurance policy would become the sin that buried his house. Heaven's answer came fast. As Jeroboam stood by the altar at Bethel to burn incense, a man of God out of Judah walked out of the crowd and cried against the altar itself, "O altar, altar! A child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he burn the bones of thy priests." He named a king 3 centuries before his birth, and the king put forth his hand, saying, "Lay hold on him." And his hand which he put forth against him dried up, so that he could not pull it in again to him. And the altar was rent, and the ashes poured out. The king begged. The prophet prayed. The hand was restored. And Jeroboam offered him half a house and a reward. The man of God refused even bread in that place, and walked out by another way. But even that sign changed nothing. After this thing, Jeroboam returned not from his evil way, and the house of Jeroboam was marked, to be cut off and destroyed from the face of the earth. The south fared little better. In the 5th year of Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem, and took away the treasures of the house of the Lord, and all the shields of gold which Solomon had made, and King Rehoboam made in their stead shields of brass, polished to shine like the old ones, carried in ceremony like the old ones. The golden age was over. The age of imitations had begun. What followed in the north was a conveyor of blood. Nadab, son of Jeroboam, 2 years, then murdered by Baasha, who slaughtered the whole house of Jeroboam, as the prophet had said. Baasha's house cut off in turn. His son Elah, drunk at his steward's table, killed by Zimri. Zimri reigned 7 days, then burned the king's house over his own head. Then Omri, captain of the host, took what remained. 4 dynasties in a generation, and every one of them walked in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin, the golden calves standing serene above the slaughter. Then Omri did worse than all that were before him. And when Omri slept, his son took the throne. His name was Ahab, and Ahab the son of Omri did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam. He went and took to wife Jezebel, daughter of the king of the Zidonians. And he went and served Baal and worshipped him. He reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. Not a shrine on a hill this time, a state temple, a state god. And Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, hunted, silenced, buried in caves by the faithful few, fed on bread and water in the dark. Ahab built, Jezebel killed. The prophets of the Lord hid in caves and waited for the silence to break. It broke. With a man in camel's hair, walking into the palace, uninvited, Elijah the Tishbite of the inhabitants of Gilead. No father named, no tribe explained, no introduction at all. He simply appears standing in front of the most dangerous king Israel ever had.
As the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word.
And he turned and walked out. And the sky over Israel closed like a door. The word of the Lord sent him east, to the brook Cherith. Thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening. The land starved by royal decree of heaven, and heaven fed one man by ravens. But the drought kept its own word. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. Then the word came, Arise, get thee to Zarephath. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. Zarephath, in the country of Zidon, Jezebel's country, the furnace of Baal himself. At the gate of the city, a widow was gathering sticks. He called to her, Fetch me, I pray thee, a little water and a morsel of bread. Her answer was an inventory of the end. As the Lord thy God liveth, I have not a cake, but an handful of meal in a barrel, and a little oil in a cruse. I am gathering 2 sticks, to dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die.
Fear not. Make me thereof a little cake first. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, The barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that the Lord sendeth rain upon the earth.
Feed the stranger first, with the last food in the house. She went and did according to the saying of Elijah, and she and he and her house did eat many days. The barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail. Every morning enough, never more, never less. Then the story turned cruel. The son of the woman fell sick, and his sickness was so sore that there was no breath left in him. And she said unto Elijah, What have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance, and to slay my son? Elijah said one word, Give me thy son. And he carried him up into the loft, and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto the Lord, the way he would one day cry on a mountain. And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah. And the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. Elijah brought him down, and delivered him unto his mother. See, thy son liveth. And the woman of Baal's own country said, Now, by this, I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in thy mouth is truth. In the 3rd year the word came, Go, shew thyself unto Ahab. The drought was about to end, but not with rain, first with fire. Samaria was starving. The king himself was scouring the land for grass to keep the horses alive. And then, on the road, the king met the man he had hunted through every kingdom.
Art thou he that troubleth Israel?
I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Baalim.
Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450. And Ahab obeyed. So we returned to the mountain above the sea. This is where the story began. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then came the terms, 2 bullocks, 2 altars. No fire. Call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered, It is well spoken. Baal went first, 450 prophets. From morning even until noon, they cried, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered, and they leaped upon the altar which was made, and at noon Elijah mocked them.
Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey. Or peradventure he sleepeth, and must be awaked.
And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner, till the blood gushed out upon them. Midday burned into evening, and there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. Then Elijah said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down, 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, 12 stones, in front of 10 tribes that had walked out on 2. He rebuilt the whole family in rock, as if the kingdom had never torn. He laid the wood, he cut the bullock, and then the madness. Fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. And he said, Do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, Do it the third time. And the water ran round about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. In a land dying of drought, he poured out water like a man with nothing to lose. Then, at the time of the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet came near.
Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their heart back again.
Then the fire of the Lord fell, and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, The Lord, He is the God. The Lord, He is the God. The scorched circle where the altar had stood still smoked. Of the 12 stones, nothing. Heaven had answered the question Israel refused to answer all day. And Elijah said unto them, Take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And Elijah brought them down to the brook Gihon, and slew them there. The law of Moses for those who led Israel to other gods, carried out in full. Then Elijah turned to the king, who had watched it all. Get thee up, eat and drink. For there is a sound of abundance of rain. There was not one cloud in the sky. And Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and cast himself down upon the earth, and put his face between his knees. Go up now, he told his servant, look toward the sea. And he went up and looked, and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again, 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there ariseth a little cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand, a cloud the size of a man's hand. After 3.5 years of iron sky, it was enough. Elijah sent word to Ahab, Prepare thy chariot and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. And it came to pass in the meanwhile, that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. The land drank, the dust turned dark. 3 years of judgment, dissolving in one evening, and the hand of the Lord was on Elijah. He girded up his loins and ran before Ahab's chariot to the entrance of Jezreel, an old prophet, outrunning the king's horses through the storm all the way to the gates. Fire had answered, rain had answered, the greatest public victory any prophet ever won. Within a day, the man who faced down 450 would be running for his life from one woman's message. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. She did not weep, she did not rage. She wrote,
"So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them. By tomorrow about this time."
And the man who had outstared 450 prophets, a king and an empty sky, broke. He arose and went for his life into the wilderness and sat down under a juniper tree.
It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers.
The victor of Carmel praying to die. Heaven's answer was not a rebuke. It was breakfast. An angel touched him. Arise and eat. A cake baken on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. He ate and slept, and the angel came again, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. Horeb, Sinai, the mountain of Moses, the fire and the law. Elijah came to a cave and lodged there, and the word of the Lord came. What doest thou here, Elijah?
I have been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts. The children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets. And I, even I only, am left. And they seek my life to take it away.
And the answer came, Go forth, and stand upon the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by. A great and strong wind rent the mountains and brake in pieces the rocks. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out, and stood in the entering in of the cave. The God who had answered by fire came to his broken servant in a whisper. The same question, the same answer, and then work. Go, return, anoint Hazael, anoint Jehu, and anoint Elisha, the son of Shaphat, to be prophet in thy room. Heaven's cure for despair was a road and a task and one correction. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal. I only am left, the prophet had said. He was wrong by 7,000. So he departed and found Elisha, plowing with 12 yoke of oxen. And Elijah passed by him and cast his mantle upon him. Elisha left the oxen, slew them, boiled their flesh with the wood of the plow, and gave the people a farewell feast. Then he arose and went after Elijah and ministered unto him. The succession was secured. The story could afford its ending now. As for Ahab, heaven gave him victories he never earned. Twice the armies of Syria came up, and twice the Lord gave them into his hand, that Israel might know him. Ahab took the winds, and learned nothing. Worse, after the second victory, Ahab held the defeated king of Syria in his hand, and let him go for a trade treaty. Ben-Hadad, who had come to erase Israel, rode home alive, and a prophet met Ahab on the road with heaven's ruling, because thou hast let go out of thy hand a man whom I appointed to utter destruction. Thy life shall go for his life. Remember that sentence. An arrow will remember it too. Then came the vineyard. Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard hard by the palace of Ahab, and the king wanted it for a garden of herbs. Naboth refused. The Lord forbid it me, that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. It was not stubbornness. It was the law of Moses. The land was God's, and the families forever. And Ahab went home heavy and displeased, and lay upon his bed, and turned away his face, and would eat no bread. Jezebel found him there. Dost thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread. Let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, and sealed them with his seal. Proclaim a fast. Set Naboth on high among the people, and set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him, to bear witness. Thou didst blaspheme God and the king. The elders obeyed. The witnesses lied. The city listened. And they carried Naboth forth out of the city, and stoned him with stones, that he died. For a vegetable garden, Jezebel said, Arise, take possession. And Ahab rose up, and went down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, to take possession of it. He was walking its rows, when a shadow fell across the vines.
Hast thou found me, O mine enemy?
I have found thee, because thou hast sold thyself to work evil in the sight of the Lord. In the place where dogs licked the blood of Naboth, shall dogs lick thy blood, even thine.
And the house of Ahab was given the sentence of the houses of Jeroboam and Baasha before it. And of the queen the word was exact. The dogs shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. Every syllable of it would come true in its time. And strangest of all, Ahab broke. He rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his flesh, and fasted and went softly. And heaven noticed. Seest thou how Ahab humbleth himself? I will not bring the evil in his days, but in his son's days, even for Ahab, even now, mercy was still listening. 3 years passed without war. Then Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, came down, and Ahab proposed an alliance. Ramoth in Gilead is ours, and we be still, and take it not. Wilt thou go with me to battle? 400 prophets stood before them, and said with one voice, Go up, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. But Jehoshaphat asked the question that ruins comfortable rooms. Is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we might inquire of him? There is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Imlah. But I hate him, said Ahab, for he doth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. Micaiah came, and mocked the chorus first, Go and prosper. Then the king demanded truth, and got it. I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills, as sheep that have not a shepherd. And more, I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him. And a lying spirit went forth and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. Now, therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets. They struck him across the face, they sent him to prison, on bread of affliction and water of affliction, till the king came home in peace. And Micaiah said, If thou return at all in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me. Ahab heard the prophecy, and tried to cheat it. I will disguise myself and enter into the battle, but put thou on thy robes. The king of Israel rode to Ramoth-gilead, dressed as a common soldier. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture, aiming at nothing, at no one, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness, of all the armor, on all the men, on all that field. The arrow found the one seam that mattered. Turn thine hand, he told his charioteer, and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. But the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at even. And the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. And one washed the chariot in the pool of Samaria. And the dogs came, according unto the word of the Lord, which he spake. So the book closes its ledger. Ahab slept with his fathers, his son reigned in his stead. In Judah, Jehoshaphat, walking in the way of Asa his father, doing that which was right. 2 kingdoms, 2 roads, 1 promise, still burning. Count the distance of this one book. It opens with David alive, the kingdom whole, and glory about to fill a golden temple. It closes with the kingdom torn, a state god in Samaria, and a king's blood washed from a chariot. 1 generation, that is all it took, from the wisest man on earth on his knees before heaven, to scorpions and golden calves and Jezebel. And yet, through every collapse in this book, 2 things never failed. A lamp in Jerusalem, kept for David's sake, and a voice, in fire on Carmel, in a whisper on Horeb, still calling one nation back. 7,000 knees had never bowed. A farmer was wearing a prophet's mantle. The story was not over. But the road out of this book runs downhill, through kings yet worse, toward a morning when the north would vanish into Assyria, and a day further still, when even Jerusalem's sons would walk in chains to Babylon. You have seen where that road ends. You have seen the boys in chains, and the furnace, and the writing on the wall. It began here, with a torn robe in an empty field, and a king who would not listen. He removeth kings, and setteth up kings. Solomon raised in glory. Solomon warned, the kingdom torn. Ahab weighed and threw it all. 1 lamp, 1 promise, 1 God. Answering by fire and speaking in a whisper. If this brought 1 Kings to life for you, subscribe, because next we unfold the book of Esther, an orphan girl crowned queen of an empire. A decree of death against her hidden people, and the God who is never named, yet never absent. The whole Bible, book by book, unfolded